Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another edition of NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel. Thank you for checking out today's video. If you enjoy it, please share it on Facebook and Twitter. Please subscribe and spread the word about NoDQ&A video. Tell a friend. With that being said, let's get right down to your questions. First one today comes from Kai BF. How's this for a storyline? Randy Orton beats John Cena at TLC and The Rock wins the Royal Rumble. This sets up their big title match at WrestleMania. A power-hungry Paul Heyman then returns and aligns himself with Orton, which would eventually set up a feud between Orton and Lesnar later down the line. I actually like this idea a lot. I think it would be a great way to utilize The Rock for another big match at WrestleMania. People have been talking about Rock versus Orton for years now, third-generation star versus third-generation star. Plus, there's also been the talk about having Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar and turning Brock Lesnar babyface at some point. So that way you get to do everything you wanted to do and what the people want to see. So I am all for it. With that being said, it's still very much up in the air right now if The Rock's even going to return at all, especially getting in the ring again. He got hurt at WrestleMania 29, and I don't know if he's, number one, going to want to jeopardize his acting career by getting hurt again, and number two, he's got so many other projects going on right now, and things are more complicated with the unfortunate death of Paul Walker, and they're possibly going to reshoot scenes in Fast and Furious, and The Rock might have to come in and do other scenes, and they might have to change the script around. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now for The Rock, but if he does come back, I think that that's a great idea. One thing I don't really want to see, though, is John Cena winning at TLC, and then The Rock wins the Rumble, and we get thrice in a lifetime at WrestleMania. That I would not care for. But which you mentioned, Rock versus Orton at WrestleMania, and then that leads up to eventual Orton versus Lesnar match. I think that that's a thumbs-up idea, definitely. All right, this one comes from JBull9. Hey, Aaron, long-time viewer since episode 26. First-time asker. My question is, I've been thinking, and although he is arguably the biggest icon in wrestling history, is Stone Cold Steve Austin really all that good of a wrestler? Please answer in video. To quote Steve Austin, I would have to say, hell yeah. Was he the greatest technical wrestler of all time? No. But in terms of believability and credibility, Steve Austin was as great as anybody. He could tell a story in the ring, and he had great presence and facial expressions, and he was a very good technical wrestler as well. He had some great matches with guys like Bret Hart, and then when it came right down to it, he could do the hardcore style. He could do just about any type of match. Steve Austin could have a great match with anybody, and it's not just one person. It takes two to tango, and Steve Austin could even have good matches with guys that weren't all that good, Steve Austin, I can't even remember a really bad Steve Austin match. I mean, Steve Austin and Vince McMahon had a good match, and Vince is not a wrestler. So, I mean, that just goes to show you with the strong characters and just being a all-around great performer, I mean, you don't have to be the best technical wrestler in the world to be a great superstar and be a good wrestler in the sense of having all the attributes. All right, this one comes from Paul Heyman Guy 18. Hey Aaron, WWE just released the trial of Eric Bischoff on their YouTube channel. What were your thoughts on this segment? I really enjoyed that segment. I thought it was a good way to write Eric Bischoff out of the storylines. I liked the whole trial backstage with all the various people coming in. I think it was Tajiri's last appearance before he left. And then the final angle where Eric Bischoff got thrown in the trash by John Cena. I thought it was very entertaining, and it was a memorable way for Eric Bischoff to depart from that role as a general manager. So yeah, very good segments. All right, this one comes from Jonathan. Hey Aaron, what are your thoughts on Mick Foley going into the comic book industry with a WWE comic? Do you think it will flop or will it succeed? Well, I think the best chances of it succeeding has to do with WWE promoting it, and I think if it's their project, the chances of it succeeding are greater. When Mick Foley had his first book and his second book come out. You know, they were with WWE, and WWE was involved, and they were promoting it and all that. You know, he was really successful. He was on the New York Times bestseller list. But then when he left WWE and tried publishing books on his own, they didn't do as well. So a lot of it has to do with the WWE machine getting behind you. And if WWE goes all out, promotes it on Raw, Mick Foley makes appearances on Raw, I think there's a decent chance it'll do well. I mean, Mick Foley's certainly a creative guy, and if anybody could make it work, it's him. All right, this one comes from Gravy Sticks. I can't see anyone who would pay $50 for a second-class pay-per-view and not read the dirt sheets and websites. So why cater to casual fans at the expense of hardcore fans? Do kids or someone that watches Raw once a month really care about the storylines to affect ratings? You do make a good point here. Now, there's definitely a lot of kids out there that will get their parents to buy the pay-per-views. There's no question about that. But on the other hand, there are a lot of adult wrestling fans out there that will put their own money down to buy a pay-per-view. So you might as well cater to those fans. And let's face it, the people that buy pay-per-views are going to be more of your hardcore fans for them to shell out that kind of money. That's what makes them a hardcore fan. A casual fan's just going to watch every now and then and not really spend a whole lot of money on the product. So, yeah, one would think that if you're trying to sell a pay-per-view, you would put on some matches there that would satisfy your core fan base. And for whatever reason, WWE doesn't do that a lot of the time, and they just throw matches together, matches that you know, the hardcore fans really have no interest in seeing. So, you know, why not throw some good matches on there? But then again, there's times they've done those kind of matches that people want to see, at least the hardcore fans want to see. I remember back 2012, I think it was Over the Limit, one of those pay-per-views, they had CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan, and you know, that's the IWC's dream match right there, and didn't really do all that well on pay-per-view. So it's not like it makes a huge difference. I mean, when it's all said and done, the match that draws the most is the one that has this this special feeling to it, and it's these two larger than life performers going at it, and you get that mainstream publicity for it. You know, The Rock and John Cena might not be an ideal match for hardcore fans, but to the general public, that's a match worth paying $50 for. So, you know, it just depends. But as you mentioned here, for the minor pay-per-views, I definitely think it's a good idea to cater to the hardcore fans. Absolutely. All right, this one comes from Bucci9. If WWE were to bring up NXT rookies, for example, Bo Dallas or someone else, what is the best way they could do so? I feel like bringing them up as babyfaces has little to no effect, but if they're heels, they're more noticeable, i.e. the Shield. Thanks. Well, first thing you want to do if you're going to bring in the NXT guys and have them on the main roster, you want to give them an extended push. What you don't want to do is bring in Bo Dallas at the Royal Rumble and then you never see him again on a major WWE broadcast. That's a mistake right there because the first impression is really important. So you have to get the first impression down, and from that point you have to give them some time to shine. You have to give them an opportunity to go out there and make a name for themselves. But yeah, I do think it helps to be a heel because the fans aren't as familiar with the character. And it's easier to get the people to boo you than it is to cheer you. So yeah, it's definitely good to have the new talent debut as a heel. And we've seen it plenty of times where guys come in as a clean-cut baby face and it falls flat. You know, going back to Rocky Maivia and John Cena when he first came in. And when they made their heel turns, that's when they were able to be more creative and say whatever they wanted to say and not have to worry about if the fans cheer them or not. So, yeah, it's definitely an advantage, I think, for them to be a heel, no question. All right, that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thank you again for checking out the video. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the ongoing year-end awards. A new poll is going up every single day, so keep voting, keep spreading the word. And before I sign off here, I got one more question from Sting HBK316. Magnus, Rockstar Spud, EC3, please tell me this is the end of TNA and we can let Sting, Styles, Joe, Angle, Hardy go to WWE. Well, first off, mentioning EC3 like that is blasphemy, pal. But no, and seriousness here. I think that, fans complained about the former WWE stars getting pushed in TNA, and now TNA is actually starting to push younger talent and trying to create new stars, and people are still complaining. I give TNA credit for attempting at least to establish new stars on their show and get some new talent over. They have to do that. If they're going to survive in the business long term, they need to make new stars. That's the bottom line. You can't rely on the former WWE stars forever. And TNA at this point can't really afford to pay those guys either. So it's really in their best interest to push these younger guys and these guys that aren't as well known. The problem is that TNA doesn't really know how to market these guys and make them larger than life superstars, and that's a major issue. And it's not the fault of Magnus, it's not the fault of Rockstar Spud or EC3. It's the guys writing the show and the guys involved in the marketing and the production of the TV and the product and all that stuff. So, there's a lot of issues still with TNA, but like I said, at least they're trying to create some new stars, and for that, I can't fault them. So on that note, I'll see you guys next time for another edition of NoDQ&A video.